Hello, welcome to the Inforunners, and my intro is still playing. Look at this. You can tell I've never used XSplit before. Hello, welcome to the
that's good.
Inforunners, and my intro is still playing.
Go.
Look at this. You can tell I've never used XSplit before. I bet you it was playing the Twitch channel in the stream right now and repeating over. Anyway, first time, you guys. Welcome to the Inforunners. This is episode 33, I think. Yeah, I think it is, of the podcast. And today is myself, Haze, and our special guest down below, Execute.
Hey, how you doing?
You're starting to become a regular, yeah?
We'll see what happens. Dyson's studying, so you needed to fill in, so yeah, I'm here.
And I've had to learn how to do all the recordings because normally that's his job.
Yep, and we're doing it live today for a change to see what that's like, so that'll be interesting. Technical difficulties aplenty.
And today we're going to be covering the upcoming anniversary sale this Friday. So yeah, we're going to get into that, do some speculation, maybe look back in the past, and let's see how we go.
Biggest sale of the year. I think more ships get shuffled around on this week than any other of the year combined, literally.
Yeah, without a doubt. This is one of the only sales where they have everything. And when we say everything, they put everything on the table for the anniversary sale. So, while the holiday sales are big, there's always some ships that don't quite make it, even if it's just one or two. You know, it might be a Javelin or Jump or something.
Someone in chat saying we're 6 hours late. I think we were 6 minutes late, and I was pestering him, but he really wanted to go over the show notes. But that's fine. We're here. We're here. That's the main thing. Up and kicking. Yeah. Look. I think this is one of the big areas for CIG. They actually make more money in this week than any other as well. So they're gonna pay their staff, so they're gonna do it somehow, I guess. So we'll see what happens this week. Yeah. Are you excited? Are you getting ships that you're intending to shovel around? I know you've got a big fleet.
It depends. It depends what they do. Like if the prices shift around for some of the ships, because I've already locked down maybe 80% of what I want. And so like if nothing changes because they're waiting on a magical 3.0 before they shift those new ship prices, then, I'm not going to really be doing much. New concept's the only thing I'm interested in then.
Yeah, you and I have talked a fair bit about the ship prices in the past, and we're kind of expecting them to shift around because of little things like with the Banu, where people were able to get it cheaper and stuff like that, and they use that to get other ships cheaper. So we're expecting a slight restructuring, and we've already seen that on a few of the other sales. They've tried little techniques to get rid of the $0 CCUs and things like that. So,
well, this is it, isn't it? They haven't removed those $0 CCUs yet, and they said, "Oh, we'll wait for 3.0," but they probably didn't expect 3.0 to come out next year. But they're going to do something now, because now they've got all these. I think they want to get rid of the Banu MM exploit, and to do that, they either remove $0 CCUs or put up the price of a lot of those like $350 type ships. I reckon they're going to do a combination of both. So we're going to see a whole big shift in the ship pricing meta, I think, because they're really hard to predict these days.
Yeah, I reckon you're calling that pretty correctly. We've seen moves to make that already, as I just said. So I expect more of it. I do kind of ask the question though: why are they so worried about what ships we have? I think as long as we've given money, we should be able to kind of have any ships we want. And that's the only thing I don't want them to do. I don't want them to restrict what we're able to get. If you know what I mean.
I hate to say it, the reasoning have been like half made up, and then they tell you maybe a quarter of the real reason, and so like they don't get onto it. I mean, if they were really honest, one, they would say money, hello, war bonds, hello, limited availability, hello. That's basically what it is, like providing limited availability when everyone has unlimited options thanks to complex CCU structures and being able to mix and match as they can. That's not bringing them any new money. And that is a problem. So like, they're not been very honest about it in the past. They said, oh, maybe it's grey market, maybe people abusing the system. The bottom line is it's money.
We've got two questions in the chat. One of them's about the new concept ship. We're going to talk about it in a minute. The other one is talk about the character debacle. Owners are freaking out. It's totally mental.
Ooh.
What is this debacle? Because I've obviously missed this. What is this?
I bet you they're thinking about the concept ship, because this, again, we're going to talk about the concept ship soon, but let's talk about this. If the concept of this snub is this huge concept that they're putting forward at the moment, then potentially the Carrack is not just a small little snub. Maybe it has some sort of utility craft that's actually half decent. Is that what you're talking about, Danny BH?
Yeah, he possibly is. But we could actually talk about that ship now, and that might answer the question. But it states that it comes with a snub. I've always suspected the snub is kind of similar to the Zion Scout in a way. So what I picture that snub being is, because the Carrack's a large ship and it can't go through smaller wormholes, if you discover said wormhole, you would want to navigate it, so you use the snub to do just that. It would basically be like a Zion Scout and kind of go through the wormhole, be really good at good maneuverability, not very combat orientated, but enough that you could navigate it and bring it back to the ship and go, well, got all that data, let's go sell that wormhole.
Well, take that a step further though. If the Carrack can't get through the wormhole and you actually want to find out what's on the other side, that snub suddenly needs to be capable traveling through the system and having a good look at what's actually there, so it can come back and tell that Carrack. So we're not talking about a limited snub. We're talking about a long-range reconnaissance, perhaps even something that can go through planet side. So
you actually think that it needs to be able to navigate the entire system, not just the wormhole?
Yeah,
I was thinking more. Possibly. I don't know. That's stronger than what I'd expect it to be. I thought it would be just for navigating the wormhole, so you could go home, get another ship, and then take the other ship through. So something that's a bit more robust, but just enough so you can initially navigate it, so you can sell that, or you can get that information to come back with a more appropriate ship for the size of the wormhole. Every ship needs a drawback, so to speak, and I think that's the drawback of the Carrack, is the fact that it's so big and it does everything that it just can't get through those smaller wormholes.
Well, you know, what if the snub can do all the things it needs to do to explore the system, but that's it? I mean, it has a longer range, can go transfer through atmosphere, but that's all it does. It does have some sensors on board, it does some initial mapping, and that's it. It's not, if you want a specialist ship to do something specialist, that's not the ship for you. But, you know, maybe this is a snub that can, but can't do much else. You know, it's long-distance snub.
So Denny's saying in chat that the long-distance ion generators have been removed, and so it's no longer a long-distance snub. Or does he actually mean the ion generators of the Carrack itself? I haven't checked the stats in the ship matrix on the Carrack since it was put up, so I'm a bit behind here. The
ship matrix is very incomplete at the moment as well. Like, you know, there's a huge list of ships that are missing components and systems and descriptions, and you know they like to say, oh, it's up to date now, but no, it's not. It's got a long ways to go.
Yeah, I'll be honest, from a game design perspective, I expect that sub not to be able to do everything, because it would make the Carrack literally a perfect ship for what its role is, and I don't think you can have a perfect ship. They all have to have some kind of rock, paper, scissors analogy, so one covers the other, but it's a drawback from another ship and stuff like that. And I don't see a drawback to the Carrack. I just don't. It's really good. That's why it's probably the most popular ship in the game at the moment.
I'd like to make it clear though, like, I think this snub is not a military craft. It's not a military craft in the idea that it engages enemies. I believe solely that it is probably into reconnaissance, exploratory, and, you know, surveillance-based vessel. It's, I mean, that would make sense. The Carrack is a military craft first that was converted for civilian use for exploration. The military would, if the Carrack is the forward scout, you'd want a smaller, lightweight, cut your losses, not, you know, something you can send a little bit further unnoticed. It makes sense to have that sort of ship. It's not meant for offense or defense. It's something it can actually scout. Why not?
No, I think it will have scanners. I think it will definitely be able to see some distance in the system. I just don't see it having, like, say, a jump drive. I don't see it I see it like a snub, almost like the Merlin, but with more sensors, and more maneuverable. So where the Merlin is combat focused, this would be more, like you kind of said, utility focused, more based on scanning and just maneuverability. So yeah, that's why I use the Zion Scout as an example, because that's really what the Zion Scout is. It's highly maneuverable, but doesn't do a lot, especially as we know when it comes to combat.
It has to have a jump drive, otherwise you send it through the wormhole. How's it going to get back?
No, obviously it's going to have a wormhole drive or whatever you call, but it doesn't need a quantum drive. Sorry, my bad. I've mixed up my words there. But I think you're right. I don't think you can have one without the other. So yeah, you're probably right there. It'll be, man. It sounds like it's going to be a mini Scout if it is anything like we've described. Which worries me, because does that mean the Scout is kind of a bit even more redundant? Interesting.
Well, maybe it has, like, you know, somewhat limited fuel. It can't go beyond one system. You know, it's still dependent on its parent craft. That would make sense.
Denny, I think it would very clearly fit a Nox in it. It has like an Ursa type style rover in it as well. So I think you could switch that out for a Nox, no problem.
It's got a large amount of like cargo ramp area, just like the Starfarer too. You could fit several ground vehicles on the bottom of a Carrack.
Merlin's asking, did the Carrack grow recently? Now, look, I'm expecting the Carrack to grow just due to the sheer number of things that they've put in this ship. It's got like, we've talked about this before, haven't we?
No, we have on the episode before, but go over it again quickly.
Yeah, so there's, man, I'm going to have to try and remember. That's probably what I was trying to subtly hint to you for you to do it.
NPC metrics is a big one, because like they design ships all the time and they don't have the actual space, the room for the NPCs to interact with the systems, the beds and whatever else, whether your cafeteria or, you know, at the end of the day, they greatly misdesigned most of the early ships. Carrack is one of those, you know, early generation ships. It doesn't have the room to fit the NPCs on the bridge, let alone the rest of the rooms it has.
Yep.
So that is probably one of the biggest area where this ship is going to have to grow just to fit people in it.
Yeah, and it's also got cargo, a med bay, an engineer. I think it's got engineering as well from memory. There's like 4 or 5 systems in there. It's literally the closest thing to an Enterprise in a ship. So it's just got lots of little things in there, and I think due to the size, well, put it on par with the Starfarer, that grew quite significantly. And I expect this one to do the same, just due to what you've previously mentioned, due to ship metrics. I was about to say the Matrix. Excuse me,
It is a Matrix. It's like a maze in that ship. It's like, I'm lost. I remember how many times I got lost in there when I first got into this game. But yeah, that's a maze. I hope they do not ever do that in another ship. I mean, hopefully they learned after the Caterpillar and just put it in systems as they needed to be, and as opposed to Starfarer, which is like 75% maze and 25% rooms.
Yeah, I'm expecting a few months from now we will have more details about the Carrack. We know it's gone into white box, or was it grey box? Sorry, my bad. And yeah, so it's not too far around the corner. I know the Banu's on the same page.
And 890 jump.
And the 890 jump as well. But I'm expecting the Banu to take a little longer, being almost, well, they're saying it's large / capital, but yeah, I'm thinking we're not going to see a lot of those ships to probably halfway through next year, but we'll have to just wait and see.
I think they want to get the Reclaimer out first and then have all its fanfare, and then probably focus on couple of new ships they're developing over a longer period. So,
yeah, so Merlin 007 is asking, it wouldn't be as big as the Banu Merchantman. I assume he's referring to the Carrack, right? My dilemma is buying one of them is anniversary sale. I feel like I would get more out of Banu Merchantman and more storage, flying an AH and a good armored weapon. Yeah, I think it is smaller, but the curious thing is we don't really have a lot of. There's no real large anvil. You know how when they built the Caterpillar, they used the art assets and they were able to pop out like things like the Buccaneer relatively quickly. Because they've only made small anvil ships, I think that's going to take a little longer. And I think because the Banu's in the same ballpark, first time they've done a Banu ship, that'll take longer. But something like, say, the 890 jump might not take as long because they've done a fair bit of the Origin stuff. So I don't know. We'll have to wait.
Well, you think about the Carrack, it's supposed to be a small exploratory-based vessel. It's only meant to have a limited crew. It's supposed to have, you know, a very set function and purpose. I don't see the feature creep going up onto that ship, as opposed to the Banu Merchantman, which they turned into a Polaris-sized capital anti-militia dash trade vessel and possibly fitting a defender in. I mean, like, they really pushed the envelope for that ship, and I don't expect them to grow the Carrack, because I think the bigger it gets, the less useful it's going to be.
Yeah, well, it depends whether you want a fully functional, or is it like more like an RV type thing where it's a camper van and everything's packed in nice and snug. And I probably suspect it'll be packed in nice and snug.
And there's a lot of people in the Banu Merchantman forums that basically say, I don't want a 160 meter Banu, I want 100. You know, so they're saying, I want my little ship that can be, but you know,
maybe they'll make another Banu that's like think about Cutlass, how they had to kind of make the Buccaneer to cater to the two different groups. Maybe that they'll end up doing is making a medium-sized Banu ship along the way somewhere, because they've obviously scaled it a lot bigger. I personally would love the large one. I know you'd love the large one too. But there's obviously some people that are just weird. That's fine.
Yeah, so it's more Banu Merchantman. Where can I sign up? What? It's free?
Yeah.
It's like Christmas.
Kind of like what happened with the Idris. We got a lot of people there that got really lucky with their Idris, and it grew considerably in size. Melon was actually stating that the Banu is kind of like an auction house, or what's a bazaar. Is
yes,
the word
traveling bazaar.
Yeah, I think the two ships are very. He's talking about which one he'd prefer. I think it really comes down to your personal role. They're very different. One's exploration, one's cargo. That's, you know, what's the profession you want to go for? You need to decide that yourself. That's an opinion. That really comes down to you, Mel.
They are very similar ships, though. They're both heavily militarized compared to most other, like, you know, vessels of their class. There's no other vessel other than the 890 Jump that has that much weaponry on it, other than the Banu and the Carrack, that still is, you know, not a military ship. But yeah, it comes down to, do you want to do cargo and make money, and like, or do you want to explore? Those are the two things.
Well, you'll still make money on exploration. It's just that if you don't find anything, you don't get any money. It's that simple.
And they're both big, multi-purpose, multi-crew, jack-of-all-trade type ships. I mean, they can do everything. So, you know, it comes down to what your focus wants to be, because they're both very suitable.
Yeah. But and still, some of it's the waiting game too, because even though on paper one might seem to have more weapons, like, and I'm kind of talking about the Banu here with its SI6 guns and stuff like that, they might be fixed. They might, you know, all be forward facing or something like that. You just don't know until it's finally released. You just got to wait and see.
Mind you, the Carrack is very impressive as well, because the turret coverage is probably one of the best out of all the ships they've ever designed. Yep. So, you know, it is a very, very good pick.
Got some nice armor plating too there that covers the hull as well, a unique thing to just that ship actually. So I'm intrigued to see how that works actually from a looks perspective. It kind of reminds me, you ever seen Voyager, Star Trek Voyager, with the Borg armor, where it kind of across the ship? That feeling, I get that for some reason when I look at the Carrack. I think that's going to be cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with what Merlin just said, by the way.
Yep, absolutely.
Orion, a Banu Merchantman equals profit. That was actually my original concept for buying my Merchantman. I was like, man, I'm going to need a cargo ship for my Orion. At this point in time, the Orion was announced, but the sale hadn't been put forward. And I went, stuff it. You know, it says in the concept that this is the best cargo ship in the game. Well, that's it. I'll just get it, you know. And the rest is history for me.
Well, you got to think about it this way: the Banu can defend and help out that Orion as well. So it's like, it's a multi-role ship. You know, you can help defend it, take a bit more cargo with it, and probably go off and drop off, or come back again. You know, do a bit of both.
I think the other really good thing is, if you ever read the concept of the Banu Merchantman, which I'm sure you have, is it talks about being a merchant clipper ship, and they were all designed about blockade running. So this ship is not just, I think the thing that kind of makes it the best, so to speak, is it's got lots of things in its favor. It doesn't hold the most cargo. It's not the fastest ship, but it's fast and it holds a lot of cargo, and that's it is, as you said, the jack of all trades for a cargo ship, and I think that's really what sets it apart from the others.
It's the only well-rounded large capital cargo ship.
Yep, what you just said, perfect. That settles it to a T. Should we go on to?
I think we should. Let's continue on with the show.
I just want to point out, I got to go into full screen to read the questions because my eyes are going bad. So if I take a second to catch up on the questions, that is why. What did you want to go and do next? Last year's sale?
Yeah, let's cover last year's sale.
Or should we talk more about? No, we already did talk about the concept, but what it could. We both believe it's going to be like the Pisces and be that explorer. But one of the other ones I've heard thrown around by a few people is that it might also be a light fighter. What are your thoughts on that? As in, it is not, and if it was a light fighter, it would definitely not be related to the Carrack at all.
Yep, that's right. If it was a fighter, it would not be the Pisces. I really don't think it's a fighter, though. Like, it doesn't have good place to put guns. Mind you, they can put guns on anything these days. But, like, it doesn't feel like it's armored. It feels it's meant for flight. Like, its aerodynamics are put first as opposed to more combat armory. And, you know, it's meant for sustained flight, it looks like to me. Otherwise, you know, it wouldn't have those huge, massive wings.
It looks like when I look at it, it looks like akin to a butterfly where the wings kind of fold up and it's designed to pack away into another ship. Like that's the first thing I picked up on when I looked at it.
Its design is not aggressive either.
No, in fact, it kind of does look like the Zion Scout in a weird way. Like, if you know what I mean. Like, the first thing I looked at it, like, if you look at it and go, what are the other ships in the game that this looks like? You obviously go Anvil, but the only other ship that reminds me of is the Zion Scout. And I think it's too can't think of the word, but too similar to ignore. Yeah. All right. Last year's sale. So, what happened last year?
Oh, well, they did a Top Gear based format. You were saying that they're not going to do that again this year?
Yeah. What I've heard so far, and it was announced in one of the, I can't remember what it was announced, but they're going to do a 10-day presentation with Chris and Sandy each day. So it's going to, I don't know if that means there's going to be just like a little advertising. So instead of the Top Gear reporter talking like this going, oh, Drake this year did this, it might just be Chris and Sandy doing that instead.
Mind you, that was really well received last year. They really did a good job. So, you know, I wouldn't blame them if they repeated that, but, you know, if they want to spice it up and do something different, you know, here's looking at something good because they did an excellent job in all the releases they've done and for events this year so far. So,
I think it might take a bit too much time of the developers. So the easy one is just to chuck their two headrunners in front of the cameras, and it's far easier and quicker.
We need to see more of them anyway. I mean, other than talking heads at ATV.
Actually, I almost forgot what they look like.
But then they also had the Master of Flight series, like when they put skins on and then called them variants, but you know, it wasn't all bad because, you know, I had a number of people very happy to get the LTI sabers.
Yeah, so what are they called now? They're called Special Editions. Special Editions. Yeah. They've changed their names recently, so SEs or Special Editions.
A bit of a debacle there.
Yeah. So, speaking of special editions, I've got a really quick question and something that it's more of a speculation and is totally off topic. They announced in the subreddit this morning or early this morning that the exclusive skins from CitizenCon have been attributed to accounts, right? Now, my whole thing is, I started to think next year, right? So next year we come around and there's people that have got money to throw around, and let's just say for argument's sake, they do CitizenCon in Antarctica, right? So I'm just picking somewhere totally random, right? And you can't go to Antarctica, but you've got lots of money and you want those exclusive skins and shit, so you'll just buy a ticket. So I'm always suspecting people are going to buy tickets and not go, just so they can get the exclusive shit. I know people, and you know people, that are very much like this.
Or they'll buy the ticket and give it to someone else, and they can just
and they'll keep all the exclusive shit. I can see it coming a mile away, sadly.
Speaking of skins, like I know they've had these skins waiting for like, I don't know, 9 months, because we've seen tons of them, right? You know, like Big Benny's and that stupid Space Kitten, and it's like there's all these skins they're just waiting to put up on sale, but they're probably waiting for 3.0 to come around so they can support that. I I'd like to see more skins on sale during the anniversary sale, but I have a feeling they're still waiting for 3.0.
Yeah,
What do you
so
reckon?
I think the difference between a skin and a special edition is a special edition comes with guns. So if you look at the Say Comet, it's basically a skin, but it also came with those scatter guns. So does that justify the $15 price tag? Probably not. I could probably see 10 because it's guns and the skin.
I can see them selling skins just as like maybe $5, $10, $15 a pop just for.
Well, they're currently they have a lot of skins on the store as it is, and they're $5, and there are a couple of exclusive skins that you can't get anymore. That were way back in the Kickstarter day. But yeah, I'd like to see a bunch of skins for $5 a pop. I think that's a good way for them to make a bit of extra cash. That said, I would like to see them as exclusives. So once the game comes out, you can no longer get said skin because there's no real value in it. If you're paying $5 to get a skin that you can earn for free in game, and I must admit, I've already got a lot of stuff like that I've brought over the time, there's a pistol that's already in the game. It's the ballistic one. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. But I brought that for $5, and now the melt value is 0 because it's in the game for free.
Burn.
So yeah, very much a burn. And there's a few things like that I've brought along the way that are no longer worth the time.
Honestly, what I think they should do is make a lot of these skins cash shop only, and actually milk in the money for people who actually want them, and not let them get most of them in the game. So I think that's a good way of earning money without pay to win.
Yes, yeah, I do too. Denny asked interesting questions that you and I have talked about many times. You know how we go about redundant ships? His question is, if you've got a few ships in your fleet, what is the minimum starting ship you could get away with, i.e. jumping the queue, tempted to dump my Avenger and just fly the Cutlass? So I'll let you take this one first because pretty sure you know where I stand on this. So you go first.
Constellation Taurus is one of my best minimum starter ships because it really puts your foot into the door for cargo and probably lots of other things. Excellent cargo storage space, very cheap ship. It's $150. That's a good place. But to be honest, my real answer is Banner Mitchman. $250, 1 year back in time. That's my answer.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. Look, I think you kind of agree with me on this. Me and Haze talked about this to the cows come home because we try to who do you recommend? What do you recommend to new people? Stuff like that. I've come to the conclusion, especially LTI or ships that you want to keep that you've bought with money, anything kind of under $150. With the exception of something that has a unique speciality, is kind of not worth owning because you're going to be able to earn it so quickly. It's not funny. So ships that fall into that price range are like the Prospector, the Taurus that Hayes mentioned. An example of a ship that would be contrary to that rule would be something like the Reliant Sen. It's the only other science ship in the game with the exception of the Endeavour. So it has a really unique role, and especially at the moment, but obviously I expect they're going to announce a medium science ship somewhere along the line. So anyway, getting back to your question, it's what you want to do at the end of the day. And if you look at something like, say, a fighter's never really going to come redundant because it's always available to be used as an escort. But something like, say, a freelancer can quickly be replaced by a Taurus or indeed a Banu Merchantman. So you just got to use logic and just go, all right, what are the ships above this? And how quickly am I going to get to the ships above that? And is it worth keeping those ships?
The other answer to the argument is you back Star Citizen because you believe in a vision and a goal and the game is itself, and you're essentially throwing your money away and not expecting anything back and trying to support a dream. So that's what I like to tell myself when I think about how much I've spent on Star Citizen over the years. But yeah, that's the best answer. But otherwise, I hate to say it, that the best bang for buck, if you just wanted one good ship, is probably around the $350 mark for those main big ships. If you want best bang for buck, unfortunately, that's it.
I will actually go a little further and say I think they've got a lot of medium ships to come. And one of the things I've speculated with Haze is if you think about a strategy of releasing ships, if you're going to do a small, medium, large, based on the wanting the most money, you would release the large ones first, then the small ones, and then the medium ones. And if you actually look at it across the board, that seems to be what they've done. So there might even be some ships that are not here yet like go back to my science example where you've got the Endeavour and the Sen. I'm totally expecting to be a medium class science ship in there. So if you want to do mining, I'm highly expecting that they're going to be a medium mining ship. And at the moment, you look, yeah, and all those different professions. If you look at it at the moment, you know, you got something. Let's just take the Orion, stick on mining for a second. Eight people. And then you've got the prospector with one. If you want to be with just 2 or 3 buddies, obviously the medium ship's going to be the better pick for you. And yeah, so something along the lines of Constellation class size. I'm expecting to see a lot more ships around that size.
No, I completely agree. The medium-sized industry ships should be more popular than the bigger ones because it's sort of the small crew, do-it-yourself, not too much risk. The only thing I'm concerned of is that they're coming out so late in the pipeline process. What price are they going to be charging for these?
That's a really good question. Let's just chuck it in. I'm going to say the $250 smack. You know, in that arena. That's where I'm going to chuck it in there.
I honestly hope so.
So Constellation / Retaliator ballpark.
Because I can see like the Reclaimer going up to 400, 450, and then suddenly, oh, here's your $3 medium ship reclamation. It's like,
yes,
god damn.
What do you call it? Early bird catches the worm, though, which is pretty much the story of Stoicism so far. The earlier you get in, the cheaper everything's been.
It might be the story for this anniversary sale. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think if what you and I are speculating about the changes in ship prices, it'll be a landmark year for Star Citizen, as in either everyone's going to be really pissed off or everyone's going to be quite happy, so we'll see.
And it's just a question of when, because is it going to come during the anniversary sale, or are they really going to stubbornly wait for 3.0? That's the question.
I want them to be stubborn, don't know about you, but it's to our benefit. Do you see CIG selling land plots before game goes live for real money, like around big cities and stuff? Now, going back a long time ago, I remember he used to say that you'd be able to buy your... where do you walk? Man, I'm having a brain fart. Well, your hangar. You'll be able to buy hangars in cities.
You still can buy
hangars. You still can, yeah. But I don't know if they'll deliberately sell land plots around cities. I've got a sneaking suspicion they'll keep that clear just for lag reasons. And if you let people build wherever they want after that, I think they'll naturally spread out and there won't be any of those issues. If you've ever seen other games like Star Wars Galaxies, they had it confined to a certain area and it used to lag like crazy. I don't know if you've ever played that yourself. I
think they'll sell the land claims, but they're not going to sell you, like guarantee that's plot of land is yours until after beta, because there's going to be many, many, many wipes. So your persistent unit or plot of land or whatever else is not really yours until we go into proper release mode. So, yeah. Technically, they've already sold claims with the Pioneer. So
yes, well, I think he's stating, will they let you claim your land before the game starts? They might not too. They might just say, yep, you get your first claim for free. That's what that is. There's no more questions in chat at the moment. Orion. There's Merlin's also stating that he reckons the Orion and the Banner Merchant, he doesn't really see them getting more expensive in the future. I don't think you're right in that, bud. We're talking about ships that were large that are now considered capital.
Yeah, we're talking a capital-sized Banner Merchantman. The $350 is like a steal compared to, let's say, Reclaimers and other ships, which are all going to shoot up in price again. This was just to bring it into kilter with all the $350 ships. When it gets released, they're going to put at least half the price of what the current value of the Polaris is, which will then itself grow up. So I think there's no chance in hell Banner is going to stay at $350 once it gets released.
Yeah, I'm seeing that at least 500 minimum for what that is. The Orion itself, well, we can only, like, it's what, Polaris in size.
Might go 400.
Maybe 400 or 500 for that. Maybe not as drastic as the Banner Merchantman, but the Banner Merchantman seems to have made, like, it's
rare, it's alien,
it's bigger,
it's supposed to be limited.
Yeah. The alien tax is just a weird thing in this game. I don't get it. The only thing weirder is the luxury tax.
You can't say they don't do it. I mean, look at that 890 jump. It went from 6 to 890.
Do you remember? Imagine the first ship that's a luxury alien ship. We're going to be screwed. Like, it's
yeah, well,
it's going to be ridiculous.
Got to milk those whales.
$700 for capital ships. Yeah, potentially.
Well, look at the Polaris.
Yeah, Polaris. I think the cheapest at what, $625 on pre-sale.
$750.
Yeah, on $750 normal.
Yeah.
You know, so you're looking at a minimum of $625. So yeah, you know, and all ships when they've released, like again, let's look at something like the Starfarer. I got mine for $175. Is now currently $350. That's doubled in price.
$340 for the Gemini, right, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. That we were talking about earlier too. I seem to have got ripped up with my upgrade. It's only $40 more expensive, but my upgrade cost me $50. Anyway, yeah. It's like if you do that in the ballpark. So you buy something like the Eclipse, $250. Are you trying to tell me that that's a $500 ship?
$275.
$275. Okay, so that's even worse. That's $550. That's insane. I can't put a $550 price tag. Hell, I couldn't put $275. But that seems to be the way they're going. So I don't know. Yeah. Limited ship sales that are traditionally in the past for the November sale. We often see those come around, so you'll see things like the Idris come around, the 890 jumps come up. We even see some javelins. It's been a few years since we've seen a Phoenix. You can tend to be able to pick up the Phoenix as...
they had the Phoenix last year.
Actually, I need to rephrase what I just said. As an upgrade. You can't buy upgrades, and it really drives me nuts. I've got a Rear Admiral package, and for anyone that knows much about that, they are worth a shit ton now. They were the original packages for the Constellation, and it's almost as if I can just melt it and rebuy, because I would lose all the... I've actually got like physical goods with it, so I get a silver tin box with the game in it and stuff like that. But because I can't get an upgrade, I can't turn that ship into the ship I want it to be. Yeah, and currently on the black market, it costs...
it's about $1,000, isn't it?
$450 the last one I saw sold.
Oh, really? It's only worth like $100 something.
$125 US they were, and so it's almost what 3 or 4 times the price, which is a bit crazy.
I don't like it how they soft it once and then they say, "Oh no, never again." You know, it's like you should be more consistent. You know, either you are or you aren't, but don't chop and change, and then you know everyone can be happy at least. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. But the other big one we didn't mention is the Javelin. I know we have one org mate who has been desperate for a Javelin for years, and he kicked himself when he missed the opportunity last year.
Do you mind dropping his name? No one else know who he is.
Yeah, well, I'm sure all the concierge level, like, no, mainly my higher members know him. So, you know, if it starts with red.
Right, yep. Say no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's desperate for it to go on sale.
That sounds like him to a T, actually, now I think about it. But yeah, he doesn't have one, really. Wow, that kind of surprises me. Yeah, yeah, I can see why he wants one. They can be a little hard to get. I remember the first time they went on sale, and I've told you this before. I was in a TeamSpeak channel with there was me and it was 5 other people, so 6 of us in total, and I was the only person in the channel that didn't buy one. And I remember watching all 125 of them or something like that sell in literally a minute and 10 seconds. And I'm doing the math of like how much money they made was just insane. Like it was just like cha-ching in 1 minute.
Last year, right? Because you know the credit versions, they only sold maybe 50 and they went in like seconds. So
wow.
He's got a proper credit card with, you know, $5,000 free to make sure that he can just go bang if the possibility arises.
I'm surprised he hasn't contacted concierge and like kind of pre put one aside. Like we're talking about a fellow here that spent a lot of money. Like I think they were doing that small favor. Can I give you more money? Yes, you can.
Technically, in the past they used to do that. Then they stopped the practice when the word started getting out. You know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. They didn't want to be playing favorites.
No, that's bad optics. That is, yeah. I understand fully why they want to stop. It's all good until you know the cat's out of the bag.
Right. Got another question from Merlin. This November December sale, do you see the war bond option for all ships? Say an Endeavour $350 and a war bond $300.
Honest to God, I think that's the way they should go. I don't think it's the way they're going to go, but it makes so much sense because
it does.
It's like, you know, they can earn so much more money by offering a guaranteed discount on all ships as long as you buy a war bond. And people will stop recycling credits and simply just go, oh, I'm going to buy this because I'm saving money. And they'll put more money down, like, bang, take my money. It's a no-brainer argument.
War bonds traditionally also have LTIs, so traditionally speaking, they're only ever done in the first concept sale type of thing. So, yeah, I agree with Haze. I think it would be a really good way for them to make some new money. They've been really weird with some of the stuff they've done. I don't get the method to their madness. So yeah, I'm just gonna. I don't know what to say on that one. Yeah, you can see I'm confused. We'll just leave it at that.
They will never sell that Pegasus. They've said that the biggest ship they're ever going to sell will be that Javelin, and then it grew to like almost 500 meters. We will never see a ship sold the size of the Javelin or larger for a player-owned sort of stuff, because I think it's already bigger than what they wanted for something that has to be non-persistent and player-owned.
Look who just turned up in the chat. Some Slack guy that ditched us. Can you see that?
Yeah, what the hell, Snake?
Yeah, Snake. Yeah. Nice to see you, dude.
At least
Slack.
he sort of made it. He's
Slack.
like...
Let's get some shit in chat for Snake for dodging us. That's so good.
The 8 money jump will definitely grow in size. I can guarantee that, because like the metrics and like most of the ship is for NPCs to move around and interact with. And because of the way it's built to be expansive, have lots of space, and be able to do all these things, it's going to grow. It's definitely going to grow. It's not going to be a Carrack-sized ship. It's going to probably jump into 140, 150 meter length, especially since the 600 is already 90 meters, like you said.
I don't think it needs to grow, but it will, maybe most likely due to the luxury part of it. Like, you want it to feel luxurious, you don't want it to feel cramped.
It's supposed to fit a lot of passengers too.
Yeah, and it's meant to be like a flying shopping mall, like, and I just can't see that being small. Like, when's the last time you went to a small shopping mall? So yeah,
I avoid malls.
You get what I mean, though. I just don't see it being small. Luxury seems to be what you get with a lot of those luxury ships is a lot of open space, and yeah, I guess you're paying for. Yeah, I don't know. I've always been kind of a bit mystified by the luxury ships. I don't see the draw card. There's a lot of people that are really into them. Like on the last podcast I was on, Chris had an 890 jump, and I often asked him, why did you buy that ship? I just like he just like I want to make it like a pimp nightclub and just go around the verse and just do stupid shit. And I still don't get it. Like but that's what he wants to do. So I guess this game caters for everyone. Question from Blazin X, fellow org mate. Do you think all the people invested a load of money into what I consider in-game ships going to be a regretful decision?
I say
Haze,
no. I said this. I've answered this one before. It's like people are investing in a dream. They're paying for money for a game that they always wanted to be made that no one else was willing to do. At the end of the day, don't think about your in-game assets. Think about how much you actually wanted this game to be a reality. And that's why they have so much money here pushing this thing. It's not because people are thinking of making a return on investment or owning amazing amounts of ships. It's because they believe in the project and they want it to be a thing, a reality that much. That's them supporting it. And so I don't think, as long as the game doesn't like flop and Chris Roberts and co doesn't like go on a holiday with all their money in the Bahamas or something, it's at the end of the day, as long as that doesn't happen, I think that's going to come to a reality, especially now more than ever in the past.
I'm going to come at it from devil's advocate's perspective. If I wanted to make a shit ton of money, I would actually buy a crap load of ships, and I would hold on to them till the game came out, and then I would sell them on the grey market when you can no longer buy them and make a shit ton of money. That is if this game comes to reality, I think people that have heaps of ships and say they go, I don't like 70% of my ships, I reckon they're going to be able to turn around and sell them and make an utter killing. Because there are people that are going to be like, man, I don't want to grind. Like, look at the current controversy with the EA loot crates. You know, there are still people chucking money at that. There are whales in any game.
But I think also that most other MMOs type games, when people start going on the grey market and moving large amounts of cash for items, that they start banning those accounts because it's against the TOS. And so I honestly think they will be very heavy-handed when they start finding out about these things. It's really easy to find out about them, even if it's after the fact. So like, you know, because you could just ban the ships that were traded, and then the person who spent money on them refunds the transactions, and it all unravels very quickly. So at the end of the day, it will be very, very black market type of a thing. I think if COG are smart, they'll be right on top of
that. Denon stated bucks are out. Yeah, so they're no longer called bucks. They're called...
Okay, this is a good story, this one. I'm going to do this one. Bucks are basically... They said... Well, no, they said something, but then they meant something else. And so here's my interpretation of this scenario. Basically, they've said that bucks will no longer be a thing, and you will not be able to buy them anymore. If you read into that, bucks will no longer be sold. The only way you can get those variants is to either buy the variant as itself, like a Sentinel, Harboring, a Vanguard. And if you want to switch between them, you're going to have to buy the parts in game. They will no longer be sold. And that makes perfect sense, because like bucks were one of the most amazingly cost-effective things you could buy. You bought the value of the weapons, the internal pod system, and a lot of the other stuff. It's like close to 1/3 to 50% of the total cost of that variant for $25 for a Sentinel, right? So like,
yeah, that's the whole reason I brought the Vanguard, because it was 3 ships in one.
Yes.
And I have an upgrade to a Harbinger because it's got the more armor, and then I've got a buck back to the what's the E-Warfare variant and the Sentinel. So I've actually got all 3 ships.
It's too good of a deal. It's also abusable. Like, let's say for $100, I got $4. That gives me 4 sets of weapons, maybe close to half the value of the ship, and then I buy the whole rest of the Vanguard in game for almost, you know, I've saved so much of my time and progression. Or maybe I went and put all those weapons onto other ships, or, you know, there's so many different scenarios there where the buck system was an abuse, because the value of the bucks compared to the base ship was so out of kilter. And so that's why they've changed this. And this is why they're not going to sell the bucks anymore. Because the only way they could sell the bucks and it'd be balanced and fair about it would be to lower the price of the Vanguard and the variants and increase the value of the actual bucks to compensate for that. Or just put the price of the bucks right up and just say, you know, screw you over more, poor Vanguard owners.
Yeah, but I think that's why they've just decided to cut them completely.
Yes.
I think it's taken them too long to pick up on what people were doing and shifted change, but they are making a game after all. Mr. Vell has said, I'm hoping the Banu Man gets the Defender hanger. I think you can see from above that Haze agrees with you.
Yeah, he's in my Defender right now.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the Defender as well. I've got an upgrade for one, and if it turns out I'm just a little, not to excuse the pun, a little hazy on the what the Defender's going to be with the view obscura and stuff like that. But I really like the look of the ship. I like the fact that it's got a lot of the same hard points as the Saber. I'm just curious to see where it's going to sit in the meta when it comes out. So I'm expecting to see that next year alongside the Merchantman though. So I'll wait and see on that.
I've talked about the Defender before. It's one of the very few fighters that has 2 people who can access flight and weapon systems individually. So one can do one and the other. I mean, look, one can be using a joystick and pedals, and the other one can be doing mouse-based gimbaling. That's freaking broken, okay, for a start. And plus, the ship comes with 2 beds and a bit of space in the back for loose cargo. This is like a fighter that's also a starter ship. And
it's a jack of all trades. It's advanced starter jack of all trades, as far as I can see it.
Yeah,
and I don't see it becoming redundant because it is that fighter with a little bit of jack of all tradesness into it. So
long range.
Yeah, long range as well. So you can do a little bit of cargo. You can do a little bit, like, just it'll be a really good smuggling ship actually, with a small bit of cargo that be able to fight its way out of problems. So we'll see how it goes. I got a question here from Merlin 007 again. And it's a good one actually. I like it. Honest opinion: I brought a Pioneer Warbond after the Q&A release. I feel it has less potential than my original perception. That's why I'm considering melting it and buying an Orion and a Banu Merchantman instead. And he asks, smart question mark.
It depends. When you think about it, like, I mean, think about the amount of mining you could do after your land claim. If you made a mining base, you could probably do huge amounts of mining, a lot of refining. Then you've obviously got to get it to transport it somewhere or expand your base with it. I think in terms of economic earning, one, you're stuck on a planet, but you're probably going to earn the same amount of money as an economic sort of scenario. So like, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it is a more limited idea because after you set up your base, you're stuck there.
I think it's twofold. Like, are you going to be building ships for other people regularly? If you other bases for other people regularly. Like, if you want that as a full-time profession, and they say it's going to take a fair amount of time, I actually reckon you're going to, like, the person you're building the base for is going to need a fair amount of cash to pay you to build the base. And the second part of it is with the Banu Merchantman and the Orion, I actually think you need more people. So it really kind of comes down to how many friends you have too. So if you don't have enough friends, maybe the Orion might the Pioneer might be more profitable for you. And I think you'll also find that there's going to be less of the Pioneer than there is of the Banu and the Orion. I think the Orions are going to be one of the most common ships in the game, quite frankly. Like, can you think of anyone that we know in the org? There's very few people that, the ones that have big fleets that don't have at least one of the Orion.
Yeah? Orion's popular. It's one of the top three: Carrack, Orion, and Reclaimer. Easily one of the most popular based industry ships. But the Pioneer, there's not the economic argument to say that you're not going to be earning as much money against an Orion Banu versus a Pioneer. But the thing is, if that's your only ship, you don't have a daily driver. You can only do that Pioneer based stuff. You are locking yourself out of the rest of the game. So unless you're really focused on that and you don't have another ship, that's a bit of a, yeah, the scales are tipped one way.
That's not to say that an Orion is a daily driver. I had the weird vision.
If you really like mining,
McDonald's
it is.
McDonald's drive-through in the Orion. Like, I just don't see that happening. But anyway, yeah, the Banu Merchantman probably a bit closer to a daily driver, but it is capitalist class ships, so probably not either.
I consider it a daily driver at least. Like it does a bit of everything.
Yeah, yeah, like. There's a lot of stuff that's still wait and see too. Like if you think about a regular work week, most people work. They got 2 days off on the weekend. Trying to get 8 people on mining vessel, unless you're getting together every night, it might be a weekend affair. I don't know. We just don't know like how complicated they're going to make this stuff.
We've got my Merville here. He's asking, say, if we'll see CCs in the upcoming concept sale. Coming anniversary sale. Yes, we'll definitely be seeing CCs. I highly doubt they're only going to take that out with no warning.
I probably just don't think you'll see any $0 ones, to be honest. I think
they've said they won't.
Yeah, I didn't buy a lot of $0 ones. I bought a lot of $5 and $10 ones, so I'm pretty safe. And I'd probably recommend you do the same thing.
To be honest, you can get cheap ones for $10 or $25 and get most of the ships you want. So like if you wanted a Carrack and you wanted to lock in the old price, you get a Starfarer Gemini, and to Carrack CCU, it only costs you like $10. And that could save you. And that's the same focus as a $0 CCU, except you put some equity in it so you can't abuse it too much.
I remember a long time ago they were talking about doing ship downgrades, and so you downgrade it and just be left some credits, but they've just never ever done that.
There's a good reason. It's too abusable. It is so abusable if they did it. It would cause all sorts of mayhem and problems. I could abuse it pretty bad. And I know that they're not putting that in because they realized how much of a bad deal that was. It just caused too many problems for them.
Blazon asks, how long do you guys expect until we'll see more Banu Zion ships, and what particular roles will they be?
I think we'll see Zion before we see more Banu ships, because we've only got that Scout. And we've seen that cargo ship before. They just never sold it for concept sale. And they're one of the ones we have the most interaction with out of all the other races. Like,
wasn't it a capital ship that we first saw the concept of? The really big, tall, standing monolith one?
Most of their ships are long, tall, and standing. Just different sizes of the same thing.
Yeah. And I think you'll find the culture of them has changed a bit. Like, if you look at pictures of the original Scout to what the Scout is now, that's so different. I reckon you're right. I think we'll probably see more Zion before we see a bit more Banu. But the Banu seem to be more of that perfectly tailored race. They don't seem to have as many ships from what I can gather from the lore. So they have you know, they have their merchant ship, they have an attack ship, and
It does
probably
a bit
won't
of
see.
everything.
Yeah, we probably won't see many more. That, like what I was saying before about seeing a medium sized cargo ship, they may do something like that.
For the Xi'an. I can see
Yeah,
it.
maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably more likely going to be a Xi'an cargo ship. That would make sense, actually.
Highly
to count.
maneuverable, fast. Yeah.
Yep, and that seems to be the way of the Xi'an. All about they're more about speed and agility more than
I mean, they'd
combat.
never sell us a combat ship, would they? The
Well,
Scout was the exception.
Well, if you look at they were not the alpha race on their planet, and that's why if you've seen recently in the they're doing that contest for the design of different creatures, that creature, from what I can gather, was the apex predator on their planet, and they kind of lived around it, and that's why it's almost been hunted to extinction on the homeworld. Again, you can read this all in the lore. So I'm kind of expecting that they're more designed around speed and agility and outmaneuvering people rather than going head to head with people. And they tend to live a lot longer, so they're kind of like, if you kind of think of them, they're kind of like elves in space. So they're kind of like immortal. So they don't really want to get into fights if they can help it, because they'll live forever if they can avoid it.
They also don't like mixing with other like cultures, especially with short-term ones like humans. And the relationship after the Cold War has been absolutely horrible. So they don't particularly, they don't like it. They're very conspicuous about us, you know. They say we're up to no good, no doubt.
Yeah, I'd expect some kind of cargo ship to either be really quick and maneuverable with really big shields, or really armored, and you know, or something like that. So more tailored towards that end of the spectrum than to weaponized. Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting perspective. I'd really like to see where they take that, if that's what the route they decide to go down. Will we see CCUs in the upcoming sale? I'm looking for a cat to Banamu merchant. Hands down.
Definitely.
Hands down.
Bovey says he's new to Sastis and wondering if the ship sale coming up, a reduction in prices of ships. Very unlikely.
Very unlikely. They will go up, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, you might see some cheap starter packages that are cheaper than normal, but I think that's the only thing you'll find that's cheaper than normal.
Christmas time every year so far, they've done $25 Aurora packages.
I think it's $35 now.
$35,
yeah.
And you only get the one. You used to be able to get Squadron 42 and Star Citizen, but now you only get one. But yeah, $35. I remember people buying up literally, like, I know one guy that brought $500 of those in one go. And it really kind of, I think they should have limited it to one per person, but that's just me.
Black concierge cards.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. First run of that, people.
Well, they should. They should. No, seriously, they should offer them to concierge first, because they're going to buy them for friends. That's just pure and simple. But
it was like when they put up the black concierge cards recently on the very first sale. They allowed you to buy more than one.
Yeah.
And so people stocked up on them, whether for friends or not. But yeah.
I'm going to rub that in your face.
Speaking of, I put in a concierge ticket about that, because basically they sell them around 3 a.m. all the time. And if you ticketed in, you could actually ask for one of those. But they have like a 2-week backlog on their support tickets at the moment. I kid you not, because it still has not been answered.
That's probably one of the worst I've ever heard. I remember when I had to work 3 days once. That's pretty bad. But I haven't put a concierge ticket in years. I haven't really had a need to. So yeah. Yeah. What's another topic here we've got here? So I guess we've kind of talked about it a little bit. We've got this year's sale and what to expect. We've kind of, talked about how Sandy and Chris are basically going to host a 10-day event starting on the 19th. Is it the 19th?
Friday.
19th?
I just know it's Friday.
I will double check. Hang on. I'll do the Windows thing. It is currently no. That'll be Sunday. Is the 19th. So if it's this Friday, it'll be the 17th, or in Australia or
18.
down under the 18th. So yeah, it's only 2 days away. So it's going to be interesting.
I'm expecting they'll do a different sale on the different manufacturers going each day. The sale does go for a full 10 days, so they'll space that out. And then on the very last day, like they usually do, they sell everything on the last day.
They do everything on the last day, but they've actually done the sale different ways in different years. So yeah, last year they did it based on manufacturer, but in previous years they went, so today is going to be all about exploration, and today is going to be all about cargo. So every year they've done it in a different way. So they might do the same thing again. It might be a manufacturer, it might be based on roles, it might be based on size. I got no idea. Excuse me, they like to keep it fresh, so yeah, I'm sure they'll do some way, but yeah, it's like you said, there's always two opportunities to buy. The day it comes up for whatever ship it category it's going to fall under, and at the end. So if you miss it, as long as you're there for the last day, you'll be fine. And we know it's going to be 10 days. So if it's starting on the 17th, that means it's not going to end to the 27th. So you've got. Yeah, if you're there on the 27th US time or 28th on the Australian time, you'll be fine.
Other things we should expect are ships that have not been sold since their original concepts. Things like the Polaris, things like the Prowler. There's quite a few ships that have never been sold in the last year, and last 18 months even. And we'll probably see those for sale for the first time after concept. And so people have been probably waiting a long time for some of these.
I think some of those are going to fall into a similar vein as what's happened with the Phoenix, though, and you might not be able to buy CCUs, aka upgrades to them.
Not even like if it's a limited ship, like the Pioneer, guarantee it. Yeah.
Yeah, Pioneer. That's why I said some. And they're very. I've never think they've really. I don't know. I don't know why they do it with some and they do it with others. I know you say limited editions, but what states is that it's a limited edition? There's nothing that says, "Hey, this is a limited edition" on it. Like it just said that they seem to do it on ships they don't want to have heaps of them in the universe.
But I'd put money down on that they will definitely sell CCUs for both the Prowler and the Polaris, and they will definitely sell CCUs for any ship that was not a limited one. So it's an interesting time because if you missed out on the Polaris sale last year during CitizenCon, this is going to be your first time to buy it ever since then.
Yeah, and I think that's really the big draw card to this sale is every year it comes around. Like I remember one year I think it got to December, January, and I was like, shit, I should have brought one of those, and I literally had to wait 10 months to buy it again. But it always comes up. So you know,
technically it's going to be 13 months since this was last sold.
Yeah. So the only ship that never came back around for me was the Phoenix upgrade, which you can tell I'm kind of salty about. Someone asked a question: how big it is? Well, that makes no sense. The ship on the post maybe an Anvil or Aegis. Oh, I think he's talking about the concept ship. He's talking about the concept ship. How big do we think it is? Well, we were talking about that earlier, and we both suspect that it's going to be the concept ship for the Carrack's snub, and it'll be like an Explorer variant, so it can go through wormholes too.
The internal rework, is that the one you were looking at?
He's asked multiple questions, and I've just strung them together. Yeah. So he seems to be talking about what is the concept ship that we think is going to be sold at the sale.
The rework of the... Confirm the ships the last day of the sale. Yeah, they're going to sell all the ships at the last day of the anniversary sale, all the ones that they've been already sold over the past 10 days. If they didn't offer it during those 10 days, then it won't be for sale because, you know, it's just a summary of everything that they've put up over the 10 days. So, you know, if you missed out, make sure you attend the last day of the sale because then they're going to offer everything. As for the rework, the Retaliator interior, they have not put any indication that they're going to work on that anytime soon. I think, like, I will not be surprised for them to really finish off all the Aegis ships, and maybe it's on the same schedule as God Heaven, the Redeemer. So we may be waiting a long time before we see the internal of the Retaliator fixed.
I think it might have been reworked slightly with moving everything to item 2.0. So wait till you see it in 3.0 and see how much of an upgrade it actually needs. Because I think they like naturally putting everything onto item 2.0. They would have had to fix a lot of things anyway. So you probably find a lot of the bugs have possibly gone way the dodo.
I think he's not so much talking about the bugs, but the idea that the insides is a goddamn mess and needs to be scrapped in order to fit other modules and bullshit. So no ET on that. It's like completely balls up, no idea.
I'm just reading this question by Merlin. If they offer war bond for ships this November, December sales and stick with the old prices, that the UEE will rise in price while war bond will be original price.
That's a horrible, nasty idea. They wouldn't do that.
Carrick 350, war bond 450. No,
God. Can you think of the optics of that? How much salt that would pile up in a mound? It's just like, it'd be a mountain. That looks horrible. They won't do it. They'd like to.
They'd like to, but they're trying to keep people happy. So no, I don't see that happening.
No, I don't. I guess other things we should expect. I honestly expect, well, they might finally remove all those $0 CCUs that are in people's hangars right now. Like they promised, they said before 3.0, they didn't say on 3.0. So I think now's the time for them to go, no. Yeah. It's gone now.
Yeah,
you had your chance. We gave you absolute months. There's no complaints. $0 CCUs are going to evaporate. Exactly. And so like, I honestly believe, one, $0, they're going to evaporate before this sale. Secondly, there may be some ship prices that will move around. Maybe. It's a prediction, but don't shoot me if I'm wrong, okay? They're really hard to predict these days.
They've said they're going to do it. It's just a matter of time when they're going to do it. I remember them saying that was over 1 million of them, which is ridiculous, and that they were only on certain accounts. And I know several people that are offenders of this. So yeah, people have had time. They've moved on. Question from Danny. Question from Danny. What ship would you never be seen in out of shame? I think that's an easy answer. Denny, I'll never be seen in yours. Next.
Oh, done. Just lost a subscriber.
What about you?
Me? I don't think I'll ever be seen inside a... Jeez, what is my... Oh, the Redeemer. Unless it gets reworked, like, completely and changes. It doesn't look like a Redeemer anymore. They have to change the name because no one knows what everyone's talking about. Yeah.
They should just call it the electrical ship or Pliers. It's
the unicorn of Star Citizen. It's special snowflake ship. Okay, this is like...
Just so people know, me and Haze have talked this about quite a few times because he thinks that the engines will never end up looking like that, and I kind of suspect that they will because it's
everything.
It's a newer age ship,
and so when they do, the Mountain Assault will eclipse the Vanguard. Okay, like because I've got all these angry backers, and a lot of people just say, "Oh, thank God," and then there'll be a huge pile of people who go, "You destroyed my Redeemer."
Yeah, pretty much.
It'd be a mess.
I don't think they're gonna. No matter, they've kind of put themselves in a position where no matter what they do, they're gonna hurt someone or piss someone off. But I've got a. It could go either way. They could get rid of the pliers. They could leave the pliers on. It's a lot of extra work to put the pliers on. But I actually am in a fairly major agreement with you that the ship doesn't need a drastic overhaul. There's some space in it that needs some tweaking and things like that.
It has the most screwed metrics of any ship that's ever been built because it wasn't even built by the CAG team. There's no way it can fit everything it is or the amount of people it has to fit into it. It's sort of like a clown car, you know. It's not going to work. It's not going to be the same. It's going to have to be completely scrapped and redone.
Denny's saying he's going to put out a bounty on me. Get in line, buddy. Get in line. It's all good. I'll fight you. It's fine.
Okay.
I got a question there from Matthew. I can't read his last name because of the overlay, but it says, "What is your thoughts on the base building part of the commanding of the AI in general?" And two separate questions. So, what is your thoughts on the base building part and the commanding of AI in general? Yeah. So, well, the base building we kind of have to wait and see what's going to happen there, and the AI is the same thing. I think we're going to see a bit more of the AI in the vertical slice that we're expecting to see at the holiday live stream.
I think the Pioneer in general and the AI that's going to attach to it is going to be their huge experiment into how NPCs are going to work with the ships and bases in general. This is going to be their test case to make sure that it works. I mean, if it works for this base and, you know, all the contracts and the interactions with NPCs coming and going, then, you know, ship mechanics will hopefully tie in. And, you know, contracts with people in ships coming along with you. So I think, yeah, this is something they need to get done. And they realize, you know, we're going to do it anyway. Let's make this the test case. Merville says, yeah, if you melt an 890 jump, you do get a buyback option for it because it is a original concept ship, and you can always buy it back if you suddenly change your mind. I'm sure plenty of people have.
I've got one for the Redeemer in a package. So if it actually does get fixed, I'll buy it back. So I know you've got a lot of buyback stuff for stuff that you've brought too, that you've changed your mind on. So yeah, it's actually kind of. I think that's the only way you can kind of protect yourself at the moment is buy it and melt it, and then if it turns out to be cool, you can buy it back. That's the only method at the moment. It's kind of weird, but you need to cycle your credits around, and that's why the war bonds come about, because they've made this system where people are buying them and melting them just in case they want it when they see what it finally is.
Another thing to keep in mind, and I'm very sure because I've heard from a number of people and in the wind, that they will be looking at locking down ship purchases and decisions in hangar, like closer to the beta, closer to 4.0, closer to after a couple of 3.0 patches. So when you think about where you are in a year's time, maybe probably by the end of the next sale, they're going to start wanting to lock down all your choices and force you to make decisions. So, if you haven't already figured out what you want, you better as hell have figured it out by the end of next year.
A lot of that is not just them being evil. Some people seem to think that it's actually so they can balance the universe. So if they find they've got way too many of Phoenixes, that they can somehow limit them, like so the AI has less of them or something like that. They are going to need to do that. Ships like the whole series are meant to be the most popular ship in the game, but probably at the moment, something like the Orion or other ships would be more popular than them at the moment.
Merlin asked if you melt the Pioneer, can I buy back later? You totally can. That is totally a thing. And then we have Matthew saying, UEC gold farmers. Look, I hate to tell you, they plan to undercut UEC gold farmers by allowing you to buy a certain amount of UEC like once a week or once a month. So I think that's intelligent as hell. That's
their main way of making money once the game releases. That's what they're going to do.
They undercut them, and then people will say, "Well, I'm not going to take any chances because I don't need to. I could get it legit."
Pretty much it.
Yeah.
I really hope the 600 gets L parts then, lol. I don't get that.
I think that's either large or, I'm not sure. But it is a big ship. I don't think it's going to be the same class as a Connie anymore. Which is... Ben Lesnick promised to redo that Q&A, and I still haven't seen it. I hope we get it during this sale.
We may. Fingers crossed.
Because if they sell the ship again, they could redo the Q&A. That would make it a perfect chance.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Especially during the sale, like if they have the different days, they'll have, these are our stuffed up sales day.
It's just a stuffed up sales category, and then they have a new Q&A for each one.
Yeah. I mean, like some other things that I'm expecting to fix too, actually, now I think about it, is you look at the Vanguard variants. We know that they're working on those at the moment. I'm hoping that they've fixed up some of the flaws with the original Warden as well. She was just a little bit too fat for my liking, but I don't think it's going to get a complete rework, but maybe a revisit. Maybe we'll call it that. Hopefully we see that anyway. Can't CCU to a limited hull. Yeah, that's correct. That's what I was trying to talk about earlier. So certain things like the Phoenix can't be CCU to, and I'm worried. Well, I don't know which ships they're going to be. So coming up to the sale, we're going to find out which ones are the limited ones. Pioneer will definitely be one of them, but because they didn't sell all of them, they may in fact include upgrades for that.
Like, we should talk about what they're not going to include in the sale now. And Pioneer is definitely going to be one of the ships. They never include recent concept ships in the sales during the anniversary sale because they want to give a sort of grace period for people who did do it.
That is true, but there was literally like almost 200 of them that weren't sold. So,
but it's like when they had every Phoenixes year, though, that they didn't sell. They didn't sell it in the next sale.
No, but see, that's the thing. Every other ship concept is sold out completely. This is the first time one didn't sell out. So
That's going to create a lot of salt, though. If they put 200 Pioneers on sale and that's it.
You've got history in one hand, and you've got unprecedented thing in the other. So I'm not too sure which way to go there. It could go either way. But yeah, my gut feeling tells me that, yeah, trust history. But then more recently, they've been breaking a lot of their traditions. So I really can't make that call. Maybe keep eyes open and pray a bit. I don't know. So yeah,
like I didn't think we'd see the 600, but you know, if they have that chance to put the Q&A out again, that would be a good excuse. Yeah, I could see a lot of people want to jump on it because it grew in size, and it might be a completely different ship.
Do you think we'll see any 890 jumps up again? You know, because that jumped significantly in price, that ship.
They already sold it this year in that pack for Origin. Yeah. Like sold it again with LTI.
Yeah. It wasn't. It's one of those ships that wasn't meant to come back, and they've kind of.
I think they put up the price to 890, and then they said, "Oh, screw it! You know, now it's going to be limited by price." And so, anyone can have it now. You just got to pay that money.
Mark's asking a question we've kind of answered already. Do you expect a new concept ship to be revealed during the sale, and what ship do you speculate it to be? We talked about this earlier. There's been a poster released of a new ship we've never seen before. Long story short, to go back over it again real quick, we think it's going to be the snub for the Carrack. We think it's going to be an exploration type style vessel to go through wormholes that the Carrack can't fit through. Long story short.
You know, outside of the obvious ones, like the ships that are going to be ready in 3.0, things like, you know, Hull Seas, Reclaimers, or all the ones that are confirmed, like the Cutlass and Dragonfly. I think we might see some price increases in ones we haven't been talking about. Possibly ships that are close to completion date or suddenly grew in size. Like, you know, they surprised the 890 jump price increase and the Banu price increase when they were nowhere, not even being really worked on. So, you know, I reckon they're going to surprise us with a bunch of ship price increases that we just haven't speculated on yet. I think it's highly likely because they do this about this time of year. This is when they do it. When they recalculate, you know, where they're going and how much these things are worth. Because they're on sale.
I got a really quick off-the-topic question. Or actually, it is on topic. Someone's asked the question, what is the name of the ship they will give to the space station building in the future? So, you know, we've speculated that there'll be a ship that builds space stations. Guess what they call it? And his guess is SpaceX. I'm guessing, what's the name of that probe that they shot out in the 70s into space? And is it the Polo or the Galileo or something like that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not one of the space buffs.
It's got a gold disc on it, and it tells the story of kind of like humanity and all that, and you can actually play. It's like a vinyl. Do you know the one I'm talking about? It's like one of the very first probes they ever sent out, and it's literally gone past Pluto now. Whatever the name of that is what I reckon they'll call it. But that's just my guess. What do you reckon they'll call it?
I wanted them to call it the Pioneer, and I am bitterly disappointed.
Yeah. The Surveyor, maybe something like that. I don't know. There's so many things that you could call it. They call it Sputnik.
I think that was it, wasn't it? It was Sputnik.
I don't know. Maybe they call it Sputnik. I don't know.
Or maybe it was Voyager. I don't know.
Well, he's copied us and put Sputnik in there. We had the same idea. I didn't actually read that, but I came up with it myself. But he's got the same train of thought. Yeah, Voyager. Oh, there you go, Voyager. That's it. Yeah, so yeah, maybe they'll call it Voyager. That is the one it was. That is the one I was thinking of. Thank you very much. I don't know. Maybe we should talk about real quickly, just because we're speculating. What other ships? You know, we were talking about earlier how I was saying like medium level ships, and they've announced that they're coming next year. What other ships do we expect to see? They've said that mostly utilitarian. What ships do we see coming next year?
Well, like you said, science, mining, reclamation. You might see, well, they've sort of got transport covered a little bit, but you know, they don't have transport the size of a Freelancer Cutlass, like dedicated taxi bus. I could definitely see that happening, because that's I suppose you could have scouting, like a military type scout, but with no weapons. You could, you know, I love my Terrapin. It is a beautiful ship, but like maybe something of a larger range that was E-War scanning, search and rescue based sort of thing. I could see that being useful.
Well, kind of getting back to the question Blazon asked too, I could possibly see two Zion ships there, like a Carrack alternative and maybe even a larger scanning ship as well. So like a scanning and an exploration ship. Like
I really want to see Constellation class based industry ships. Like, you know, I really want something like that. 60 meters in all the professions, because that's not only going to be one of the most popular ships, it's going to be probably one of the most versatile, and in that way be used to all the time. You know, people will just use it all the time.
Yeah. Banu, though, yeah, as I said earlier, I don't see many more ships coming for them. I don't see it. We probably won't see many more Vandal ships until Squadron 42 kind of releases. And then the bigger ones we probably won't be even able to enter until the second time around, so Chapter 2 of the Squadron 42 saga.
Don't think we'll see any Terravan class ships either, unless it's military, but I think it's because they're not focusing on military. I highly doubt we'll see one. I mean, it's
might see one more Tavaran, one or two maybe. I can because they're very war based.
Not soon.
Not soon, but possibly it's not utilitarian, and they've stated that there's going to be a lot of utilitarian stuff. And I can't remember the last race that is beyond the Banu, but I don't think we'll see any of those until the game is released. I think that's what that race is. That's
what I think we're going to see a lot of is going to be Outland. What are the Consolidated Outland? You're going to see Kruger Intergalactic. You're going to see
the smaller ones.
Crusader Industries. Yeah, the smaller ones. That
I think they've realised they're way too Aegis, Anvil, and Misk focused, and they're kind of like, shit, we need to put more ships into these different things.
Yes.
And
industry ships is perfect for that too.
Those
are the sort of brands that, you know, build those sort of ships.
Yeah, I think Consolidated Outland plays on that outer Outlander type, on the fringes, Tatooine-esque.
How are you supposed to go from a Mustang to a Pioneer and not building anything in between? It's like, no.
But I love the style of the Mustang, and if they can get that into a full ship, it's probably going to be like if you've obviously seen the concept of the bridge of the Pioneer. It's really nice, and
well, that Mustang rework was actually pretty sexy, so you know, I liked it
as well. Yeah. So I'm kind of looking forward to see where they take some more of those manufacturers, and then you look at something like the Merlin, and you're like, wow, what other ships could they? Because I actually think that should be a competitor to the Origin. Like, that ship is so freaking gorgeous. If they made other ships,
I'm a P-72 fan. Don't talk to me about the Merlin.
You know what I mean, though. Like even then, it's the same manufacturer. So like it's very nice looking, and I think it's almost a waste to have a manufacturer. Like, another one is like the Argo Corporation. Do they have any? I don't remember their name, but like, do they have any other industrial ships in the works? Like, we talk about our mining, the middle area mining ship. Could that be made by them? It'd be really interesting to see, instead of going over the same three manufacturers. And let's be honest, you look at the ship scale page, it massively dominated by those three manufacturers, as you and I talked about last week, actually.
Merlin's asking about the F8 Lightning Heavy Fighter. It will never be sold. At least they've promised. And you only be able to get it in game. So like, I don't see them selling that, because again, that's a huge salt mine that they just have to tap if they really, really, really want a whole bunch of salt.
Do you remember me speculating on why I reckon that is the case?
Go ahead.
I reckon that it's the ship that you can potentially earn by the end of Squadron 42.
Yeah, that could totally be a thing.
And you can take that ship into the universe with you. So I think they're kind of going, this is a freebie, and you can all earn it. And that makes a lot of sense to me, because they've also stated you don't have to finish the campaign, but it would be, if you bought an Aurora, and if you just finish the campaign and they give you an F-18 Lightning, there's a huge motivation to finish it.
Well, and give you the option, so only people who bought Squadron 42 can buy it. Give you a reason to buy Squadron 42.
Yeah. I have a massive feeling that Squadron 42 is going to sell like hotcakes anyway. Like just even if like you never play the PU part of it. I know people that just love huge open world games like Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, and it is gonna, like, the fact that you can just go around all the planets and all that type of stuff. That's just gonna.
It's definitely going to be one of those AAA games that people just have you not played Star Citizen? Like Squadron 42, it's like, you know, even if they're not interested in the MMO, which there's always people who won't be, but anyone who wants to play a real mainstream AAA game, Squadron 42 is going to be like one of those must-haves for that year, you know?
Just reading an older question here. Nick or C says, I'd like to see a Taveran fighter. Yeah, I reckon there's that's
I'd like
possibly,
to as well.
that's, yeah. The other one that I'm actually expecting to see too is more RSI ships. Did you ever see the concept of the RSI fighter? That there's a guy that did it after the Next Great Starship, and he's kept working on it, and it actually looks really cool. It's got a really cool name, and I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I'm sure if you Google it and type in like RSI fighter, you would find images of it. But I don't know how to. I'll show you later. But yeah, it looks really cool. No more Raven, please. Yeah, I can probably relate to that as well. Hayes knows I'm a bit annoyed at the exclusive stuff they're starting to bring into the game.
It's so expensive with the cost of that drive. Even if I can afford it, I can't justify it.
Mr. Vell, that is correct. It is the North Star. That's the name of the ship. North Star. If you want to have a look it up, RSA fighter, North Star. It looks really cool. It is really expensive. Did you hear the really interesting thing about people claiming the ship and returning the drives, though? They'll take $200 off it when you return it. So technically, if you want the ship for $200, you can get it for $200 and just return the drive. Yep. So they're actually doing people a favor, probably. Because there's people that, you know... Don't
take our word at that and tell us when they take $200 and you lose the ship as well. So like, it's not our fault. I think that's just a Newegg policy. That's not necessarily a CIG or Intel policy. So you could get screwed on that advice. It's just a rumor, as far as I'm concerned. Could be true.
Yeah. Nicola's saying that Nick Cora, sorry, is saying that the Raven promotion strat sucks. I'm talking about even little things like I said earlier, with the exclusive weapons for people that go to CitizenCon and stuff like that. Back when they first did the Kickstarter campaign, they said there's going to be no exclusives at all, and now we're starting to see them really regularly, and I don't like it.
There's two sides of the coin, though. Like, one, yes, it sucks for all those people who are foaming at the mouth for a Raven and can't justify putting out the money. Hello, me, I'm not going to spend that money just for that Raven. But at the same time, it really, really, really good relationship for CIG to have, because I imagine most of their machines where they do a lot of their compile work for the builds are now using those SSDs and are saving shitloads of time and money not having to spend on that. Secondly, the huge promotional deal. I mean, look at the CitizenCon sale. That was 100% sponsored by Intel. Intel paid for that venue. Intel paid for all the money that costed to go, and that didn't come out of the project, and it was an amazing event.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was good for all of us. We all got something out of that.
Yeah. I guess if you look at that, it's pretty good. I would like to see the Raven, though, at the end of the day. Yeah, you can only buy it through the Intel shit. That's fine. When it comes to in-game, either it's hella expensive, like, say, 4 times the price of a normal Raven because it's really rare.
Or you retrofit a regular Saber.
Yeah, that, like we said before, like a skin or whatever, or it's right down the end of a quest chain that's really long and epic to get. If you're on WoW and try to get one of the legendary items or something like that, so it's down this, like, it's got to be earned. There's a way you can get it, but it's got to be earned. If they make it so that it's all, like, just... It's kind of a bit pay-to-winish, and that's the only reason I don't like it.
It could have been done worse, though. You got to admit.
Yeah, and and I know that ships doesn't probably got a huge, awesome role. As long as there's a ship that's better or comparable to it, I don't have a problem. Like, unfortunately, though, they always, like, being AMD or Intel or something like that, they always want a ship that you want to have, so... because then it gets you to want to buy the product. So
I think Intel are very happy with the deal. I mean, they think they got a really good ship, and it was good response to it. People, are really vying and wanting it. I think they got the reaction they were looking for. So I think that opens the idea. I wouldn't be surprised if Intel wanted another sponsorship in future, maybe for the next CitizenCon, or maybe AMD next time. Imagine that.
Man, if it comes into this thing for the next 5 years, we're getting these exclusive ships, I'm gonna lose my shit. And I think if they do it too frequently, like, I'll put it this way, there was a bit of salt at this one, or enough salt for most people, but I think if they do it again, there'll be a bit of a backlash. They got to tread water, obviously.
But I mean, look at the CitizenCon this year compared to last year. It blew it out of the water. I mean, the bar was very low, okay? But we've never had as good a CitizenCon as the one we had this time, and I think you got to stop and pause and think about that for a moment. There are two reasons. One was the Intel bargaining, and then we've really got to give credit to Cameron Wilkie, who is head of events for Star Citizen now. He got employed after the huge holiday sale last year. That was a debacle, because they realized they needed a professional to do their events. And his work is all over the last events we've had all this year, and it's been amazing. So they finally got, instead of getting the community managers to run their events, they got a professional.
Yeah, and you can see the difference. Yeah, it really does. Really, really does. All right, we've got a question here from Merlin 007 again. Intel RSI Alliance, which size ships do you see them selling in the future with hardware plus ships? I feel like they will grow to medium, maybe even larger size ship offers. I don't think so, because of as soon as you have a multiplayer ship, you're getting exclusive gameplay and stuff, and that's going to... I can see them doing it with a single-seat fighter, because there's always multiple replacements, but as soon as you go into multi-crew, you get into a bit of a grey area, same reason, and you're going to get more pissed off people.
I could see RSI doing an industry ship there. I mean, they don't really have that many ships in the lineup. They got the big ships, but like not many. I think he means a big exclusive ship. So, like, imagine if they made that medium mining vessel and it was tied to an Intel product. No, I just don't see it. I think exclusives will always be maintained to small ships. I mean, look at the Amiga and look at the Raven. They need to put a limit on how big they are. If they ended up putting Pioneers with RSI and tied it to Intel, I'm sorry, that the optics on that is so bad. The shitstorm would be horrible. It would just mar the entire CitizenCon. They will not do that.
Yep. Any idea on the price of the Polaris and if it will stay at $750 or not? I have an X1 with LTI and plan to see you to a Polaris. I think if you are up and about, I think you'll very more than likely be able to do that come the sale from Friday onwards.
It's too recent of concept, and it's already adjusted price for, you know, it's only been a year since the sale. I do not see that going up in price anytime soon. It's not going to be flight ready anytime soon. I'm pretty sure they're going to be definitely selling it because it's going to be a popular one. So yeah, I think you're set.
Merlin suggested the next CitizenCon, if you buy an Intel CPU, you get a blue Banner Merchant Man. If you buy an AMD CPU, you get a red Banner Merchant Man.
I know, they should do it like you get the Intel CPU with the AMD graphics card, and then you get both. It's like two different ships.
I can see exclusive skins for big ships. I can see that. I can see that as a thing. But
that's not as broken, you know?
Yeah, I could even see some kind of bundle where you get a universal skin that can be worn on any ship. Like, I can see that. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. I have no problem with that either. It's when they start doing, like, I think the Raven is starting to go into too far territory, because it's like double the strength of the Warlock. Like, if it turns out to be the best EMP ship in the game, it's going to be disappointing. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, I got to admit, I'd prefer a ship that came with a graphics card, because then I'd just buy it and stick it into one of my mining rigs.
Yeah,
it paid for itself.
if they have a green NVIDIA ship or whatever, something like that, that's the only company they've got left to get now out of that trifecta of.
Imagine if they tied a ship like the Saber Raven to like a 1070. I'd just buy like 6 of them.
Yeah. and mine it.
And mine on the crypto mining.
But if anyone that doesn't know, Haze does a lot of crypto mining. He's got a really cool rig set up in his house, and it's very clever. I like what he's done with it. Yeah. Have we got any questions left? Because I think we're out of notes, and unless anyone's got any more questions, I think we're almost done.
I think it's about time to wrap up. Just a heads up though, I am personally going to be doing CCU buyer's guide for the anniversary sale every single day. So as soon as the sale starts, I'll put up a quick video. It's going to be detailing what are important CCUs for you to get with regards to, one, price increases for possible price increases so you could save some money. Secondly, how to lock in ships for cheap. Because with $0 CCUs going, there's now a second alternative to use something like we said before, the Gemini to the Carrick CCU for $10. So that one, locks in your options, and secondly, if you buy War Bond, you can then gift the generous gift of a $350 Carrick to a future friend and be able to use stuff like that. So yep, I will be doing a short and sweet version of every day of the sale and going over what I think is important for all you people who are going to be investing.
Yep. Yeah, man, if you want to hammer that, let me know. There's a guy there, I can't read his name because of the chat, sorry, we'll have to fix that for next time. Basically, he's stating that there's a few other ships that have gone up in the price, the Idris P and the Javelin's now up to 3,000. I wasn't aware of that, so they may jump again. That's just how it is. They'll obviously
guarantee that. I wouldn't be, they could do it. They might not. We'll see. Because $3,500 Javelin.
He's saying they've already jumped from 2,500 to 3,000.
Yeah. It was 2,500. Then last year they sold it as either 3,000 in credits or I think it was 2,600 War Bond. So you save $400 for the War Bond. And the same with the Idris. It went up to 1,500 War Bond. No, sorry, 1,500 credits, 1,300 War Bond, and it used to be 1,250. So yeah, it's possible. But they're very unpredictable these days. They are not consistent. So we will see.
Yep.
And I'll certainly be covering it.
Nicola C, I've done just that. I've got like about 5 different copies of the Gladius to Cutlass Black upgrades. So yeah, buy them now. I'm sure there's going to be people down the line that want to buy them. You might be able to make yourself a little money on the side. All right. I'm Execute.
And this is Haze. Thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube, put comments down below. We will definitely respond to anything if you have further questions, especially with regards to the upcoming anniversary sale. I'll try to be very much on top of those. So don't forget to like, subscribe on YouTube, and as always, we'll catch you around.